Welcome to the Actuaries in the Wild podcast. I started this podcast because I believe that actuaries are more than just your stereotypical number cruncher that sits at a computer all day. Many of us have endeavors that go beyond the traditional actuarial realm. My goal is to meet those actuaries who have ventured from their desks to explore their passions. It's time to meet the actuaries in the wild. Today's actuary in the wild is Jon Forster. Welcome, Jon.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. Happy to be here. I've been following your podcast, doing great stuff. So I've been a fan and happy to be on the show.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. I want to start by finding out a little bit more information about your background. I usually ask people about their actuarial career first, but your story starts in college. You were a wrestler at Rutgers. Tell us about that.
Yeah, pretty fun, man. I loved it. I love Rutgers. I'm New Jersey through and through. And the big thing at Rutgers, I was a captain of the wrestling team for 2 years. I'm a big wrestling fan now. I just watched the NCAA tournament the 3 days during the weekend. So my wife's glad that the season's over.
Yeah.
So I'm not spending my time there all the time. But yeah, I loved it. Learned a lot of lifelong lessons, made a lot of lifelong friends, had a successful career, didn't achieve all of my goals, but I was nationally ranked and won 110 matches, which is a good accomplishment, and definitely just enjoyed it and enjoyed the grit and grinding and something that, like I said, lifelong lessons, things I learned that helped me throughout my life, off the mat, then on the mat.
So coming out of Rutgers, you decided to go into the actuarial field. What made you decide to become an actuary?
Yeah. Back then, I'm aging myself now because now I can say back in the old days, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I graduated 2001, and it wasn't as popular as of a profession as it is today with a lot of information. So there wasn't a lot of information about it. I was a math major. I was always good at math, and the business world really intrigued me. I come from a very small farm town in South Jersey and really didn't know anybody that had a corporate job that went to the city in a big building. And that always kind of intrigued me. And I found out about the actuarial profession. This is something that you can use your math skills on the business side, and took an exam, passed it. I passed one exam and I got a job from that. So my first job was at a small company, Bennett Card Services, and really was a blessing in disguise that I worked for a small company, because I really got to progress quickly in my career. I was, in a director level role a couple of years out of school on senior leadership teams, and meeting with clients and going to dinners with the president of our company and the president of the other company. So really got to learn a lot and absorb a lot of information. And I think that really helped me later in my career, because I was able to understand the higher level about what's the business needs are, and I was able to apply that to my work. So I enjoyed it and got in the profession and really loved it.
So this brings me to what makes you an actuary in the wild. You decided after some time to become an MMA fighter. Talk about why you decided to pursue this direction in your life.
Yeah, it's interesting. I kind of got that itch, right? I competed my whole life and always was active in sports. I was very bad at a lot of sports. Wrestling was the only one I was good at, honestly. But I kind of always had that itch to compete. And just like anything else, I saw a lot of people around my age and that were I wrestled with in college. I saw them having great success in it. A couple buddies of mine made the UFC, and I just saw them having success. And then I remember I went to one of my buddies' fights in Atlantic City, and I was like, I want to do this. And at the time, I took on a role that was very time commitment oriented, and was definitely the most I worked in my life. It was Medicare Part D. It was right when Part D came out. So it was 2008 bids I had to do, and I had to figure out how to do that. And most companies outsource that to consultants, and we had at our company, we were bringing that in house, and I had to figure all that out from scratch, and I was working ton of hours, 70-hour weeks while I'm trying to get my exams done, and got out of shape, got really out of shape, and probably was the only point. I'm 45 now, the only point in my life where I had some medical, minor medical issues, but was on some maintenance medication, and getting that itch and saying, hey, I need to get back to the old Jon, where I'm
Hmm.
working out all the time and grinding and competing, and started training MMA. Actually then had a job switch that was, very good for me. It was actually a step up in role on paper, but was a lot less workload, working a lot less nights and weekends. And I was able to start training and competing, and started out, did a couple jiu-jitsu tournaments. And then, there was a fight team at my gym, and started training with the pro fighters. And next thing you know, I'm in a cage getting punched in the face, and at the casinos, and competing, and having a lot of fun with it. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. I lost my first one, but then won a bunch after that, and was just a lot of fun. And I felt like it was bringing me back to what I used to do back in my college days, and actually all through growing up.
So you talk about bringing it back to your college days. How does your background at Rutgers help you in your MMA fighting?
Yeah, if you look at the successful MMA fighters, the top guys, the majority of them have a wrestling background. And that's no coincidence. I think wrestling is a sport that requires a lot of grit,
Hmm.
requires a lot of pressure and learning, and just competition. You just compete a lot in wrestling. So it just helped me out with the mindset. I think mindset's very important, and understanding what it's like to lose and be down, and come back from that. And just really helped me a lot making that transition. And then I had to learn the boxing and the
Yeah.
kickboxing and the jujitsu, and that stuff is honestly, I wasn't a great boxer, but it's easier to learn enough of that to be effective than to learn wrestling. If you don't know the wrestling aspect, you're a fish out of water, because if you're a
Yeah.
great boxer and don't know the wrestling, you're just going to get taken down and get pummeled. So you need to learn the other skills. You need to be well rounded. No one could be a one trick pony, but the wrestling is a lot of feel, and a lot of it takes a lot of time to pick up. And that's what I did since I was 5 years old. So I had that background.
So did you use anything that you'd learned from your actual training in your MMA fighting?
I think it was more the opposite. I think I learned a lot in the MMA fighting and wrestling, that I applied to, my actuarial career. I think it all kind of meshes into one. I mean,
Hmm.
and it's the teamwork, right? I really pride myself of always having strong teams, and always developing my employees. And even after they're my employees, my phone's always available for them to give me a call, and I try to help them out the best possible. So I think that team aspect is really huge. And the coach athlete relationship, I always kind of took that into my world, if you will. I started managing teams a few years out of college, so I think I was able to pick that up because I knew about that coach athlete relationship,
Right.
and was able to try to build and know what people need to learn. And I definitely feel like there's a ton of overlap there with what I did athletically to my actuarial career.
Okay. You won an amateur title after battling through some adversity. Can you talk about that adversity, and then how you trained to prepare for the bout and ultimately had the mindset to win?
Yeah, so there was adversity before the bout. I actually was training for another fight, and I tore my ACL, and had a long road to recovery there. It wasn't like a totally bad tear that needed surgery, but a lot of rehab. I had to do a lot of rehab. Came back, I won a fight, and then I got an amateur title fight. And and in that amateur title fight, I mean, that first round wasn't pretty. I really got rocked pretty hard, and right off the bat, within 5 seconds in the bout. It was a fun fight. You can look it up if you want to see me get beat up for a little bit. It's on YouTube. If you look, just type in Jon Forster, XFE MMA. XFE was a big promotion
I see.
for amateurs back then. And I got, definitely had a concussion. I think it was pretty surreal. It was kind of it was kind of like you see in the movies. I never experienced that.
Hmm.
It was kind of like you see in the movies where things slowed down and
Yeah.
very echoey. There was a big crowd there. He had a lot of fans. I had a lot of fans. So a lot of people were yelling on his side, and it just echoed and things slowed down. And vision was blurry. It was almost like Rocky hit the one in the middle. And what I did was I just kept moving, and I heard the ref yelling, and he was close to stopping the fight. My corner said they were very close to stopping the fight, but usually in MMA, if you keep moving, the rule is you have to be intelligently defending yourself. I don't know how intelligent I was, but I just kept, moving and trying to get to different positions while I was getting hit, and made it out of that round. Got to my corner, sat down on the stool, and I remember my coaches came and they just said, breathe, just breathe for a second. And I was taking those big breaths in and trying to get my wits about myself. And I just kind of remember walking out there and looking across the cage in that second round. And, it's just like same thing, just go forward. And I ended up dominating the second round, and then I ended up getting the knockout in the third round. So
I see.
it was it was kind of the switch where we both were probably had the biggest crowds of the people at the fights, and went from his side going crazy to
Hmm.
my side going crazy. And it was a lot of fun. Had a good party afterwards. It was a lot of fun after that fight. And I keep the belt right there in my office. Just reminds me of coming through adversity and working through stuff, because you have that at work too. So it was a lot of fun fight, and I really enjoyed it.
So you talked about your amateur career. Did you ever fight professionally?
Yeah, after that, I got signed by Cage Fury Fighting Championships, which is one of the biggest promotions, outside of the UFC. A lot of Aljamain Sterling is a UFC champ. He fought a lot in Cage Fury, and a lot of guys, in the UFC fought in Cage Fury. So it was pretty honor to get a pro contract with them. A lot of fun. I had one pro fight. I won that one, so that's good. I'm 1-0. I
Hmm.
talk about John Jones, who they say is the greatest MMA fighter of all time. He has a loss. He had a disqualification loss. So I say Jon Forster is a undefeated pro MMA fighter, but John Jones is not. So I won the one bout. It was a lot of fun, good fight. I ended up winning 2 rounds to 1. He had me in a little trouble in the second round, and I had to come back and win the third round to kind of ice it. And won that fight, and it was just a lot of fun to be able to make it to the pro level, and then win a fight at that level was a lot of fun.
I mean, other than maybe you just wanted to go out on top, you decided to retire from MMA. What led to that decision? I said, other than maybe going out on top.
Yeah. No, it wasn't just going out on top. I was getting old. I was in
Yeah.
my late 30s, and I was thinking about coming back for another fight. But when you start training, you start training a lot, and it wears down your body. And it was just for me having a full-time job, having a lot of other things going on personally. I had to do a lot of rehab then, and it was almost like more rehab than the training. And ended up calling it quits. Great career, great experience in my life. I love it. I still do jujitsu once in a
Hmm.
while. It's a lot of fun doing jujitsu, but I definitely train very different today than I did back when I was competing. I'm really making sure I don't push too hard or get
Yeah.
hurt, but still a lot of fun. I still love it. I still love progressing. I still love the chess match, if you will.
Yeah.
But it was time, right?
Yeah. So, where has your career taken you since then? Really, talk about your actuarial career, because you came
Yeah.
back. You said you retired from MMA, and then you're back into your actuarial career. So, where has your career taken you since then?
Yeah, I was fortunate in my career. I worked a lot of fun jobs. I bounced around, I did a lot of different things, from Medicare to stop loss to, the small group ACA, a lot of ancillary products, long-term care. I was an appointed actuary. So I got to do a ton in my career. Most recently, I was a chief operating officer for Medical Risk Managers. Great company. Really, they are a stop loss MGU, but they're a stop loss MGU for some of the biggest insurance carrier, big insurance carriers out there. They do a lot of their, they rely a lot on with MRM on a lot of their stop loss. And I was fortunate to be able to work as a chief operating officer there, working with some great people in the company, and then with our external clients. And my main job was focusing on the external clients' needs and making sure they had what they need to kind of grow their stop loss business. So it was a lot of fun. Interesting opportunity came up. I guess we're in the great resignation now, and there's a lot of opportunities came up. Something I never would have thought of. An opportunity came up with the Society of Actuaries, and I never would have thought I would join the Society of Actuaries. But it's interesting. It's a new job for them. It's the professional development, learning, and content design director. So I took that job. I'm going to be very involved with a lot of the meetings coming up, and really, I love a lot of the content that the SOA puts out. I love a lot of their podcasts. I love the meetings they go to, and really, it's kind of taking that and trying to bring it to the next level. So I'm excited about it. I've been here 4 months, and we've got some cool things coming on the horizon.
So how have you found that role at the SOA different than your traditional actuarial role?
There's differences and there's a lot of similarities. I'm not in the spreadsheet as much. I'm not not crunching the numbers as much, but I do need to learn a lot about different actuarial topics and understand what's going on. So it's very different in that respect. It's similar to a lot of roles that I had, which is not typical actuarial roles, where I'm meeting with a lot of top actuaries at
Right.
various companies and understanding what their needs are and how I could bring that back to the SOA to figure out how we could meet those
I
needs,
see.
right? So there's a lot of differences. There's a lot of similarities too. With what I'm doing as well. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It kind of is a cool change for me. I'm enjoying it. And really, like I said, we got a lot of good things cooking and coming down the pipe.
So you did talk a little bit about how the MMA fighting, your wrestling, prepared you for the actual career. What about your current role? Do you see anything within your current role how your path as a wrestler and MMA fighter prepared you for that?
Yeah, similar to what I said before. I mean, I personally always feel like I try not to take credit with my roles. It's more about the team. And the first thing I did when I came to the SOA was I need to create a very strong and dynamic team. So I have a committee that I just formed, the professional development curriculum and content creation committee, also known as the PD4C. And I got just a very strong team with me on the core team. I just developed the core team, and we're looking to get some more people to contribute to taking professional development to the next level. So just forming the team, and right now I'm seeing what my team wants to do and what their strengths are and what they want to kind of work on, and what their goals are to help progress the profession forward, if you will. So there is a lot, a lot of similarities to the MMA world. Also, what I'm doing when you think about professional development, it's really with the individual. Every individual is going to have some different needs to professional development. So, and different needs in different stages of their career. So, you need to figure that out. Just like in MMA and wrestling, you might need to work on your boxing. Someone else might need to work on their jujitsu a little more. Someone needs to work on the cardio. So, developing different, what we're trying to do. And like I said, the actual approach of what we're trying to do will come out very shortly, but it's developing a lot of different tracks for people to go into, and what tracks do actuaries need to develop their career, and having that ability to customize the tracks based off of people's career goals and what they where they're at in their career.
Well, John, I appreciate your time. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our viewers that I haven't asked you?
First, a couple things. One, I'd like to say, hey, awesome job you're doing. I really
Thanks.
think bringing to light, I think in two respects. I think one, bringing to light what actuaries do outside of their typical day job.
Mhm.
And I really stress that I think the things that in listening to your show, the things that people do outside of their day job really help them out in your day job. And I know
Mhm.
you have a bunch of things that you do
Yeah.
outside of your day job that helps you out. I think that's really cool. I think it's great to see actuaries, doing this, making podcasts, filming, editing.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And that's something that, I'm talking to a lot of video editors right now in this role to move forward with some things along that genre. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. But like I said, love what you're doing. If anyone has any interest in helping out with the calls, find me on LinkedIn and send me a message. I love to talk to you. Love talking to different actuaries about what they do. But keep doing a stellar job, Jeremy.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate you for being my guest on Actuaries in the Wild.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks.
you. If you're an actuary or know an actuary who has ventured out into the wild, contact me so we may share your story. You can find Actuaries in the Wild on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, and LinkedIn. Thank you for joining us and see you next time on Actuaries in the Wild.